who needs to take creatine? All right, first of all, for the people who want the Cliff Notes answer, here they are. Okay, first of all, nobody needs to take creatine to get results. Okay, second, there are people that will get much better results much faster and much more easily if they do take creatine. And number three, the people who should be taking creatine are not the people that you think should be taking creatine. All right, I've got like a lot of experience with creatine because I kind of grew up with it. You know, I started training in like the 90s, when all the muscle magazines were first starting to talk about creatine. Okay. I basically used it when I was just trying to get big. I always lifted heavy. I always lifted low reps, but I did at one point in my life do a bodybuilder type routine. Okay. Arms, legs, shoulders, back, chest, one body part a day, still lifting very heavy basic compound movements, but still I was lifted like a bodybuilder. I was reading bodybuilding magazines and everybody talked about creatine. What they said is you had to use creatine because it would, at first they're saying it's just going to go into your muscles, and it's going to attract water, it's going to blow them up, and you're going to gain a lot of muscle overnight, which I wasn't really interested in because then when you stop taking creatine or, whatever, then all of a sudden you'll just urinate all of that creatine or all that water out and your muscles will shrink again. But then they started talking about how using creatine will help you produce more energy and you'll be able to get stronger. And because you're getting stronger, you're going to build more muscle and get better workouts, etc. The bottom line is I said, screw it, I'm going to try it. Okay. And back then, there were a couple of things going on. Bodybuilders use creatine, number one. People wanted to get bigger. And number two was you had to take a loading phase. That means you have to get the creatine into your body and has to reach a certain level. So you would take like a huge amount, not a huge amount, but you take like your daily amount, like 4 times a day or whatever it was back then, to build up this amount in your body more quickly. And then after that, you would take like a maintenance amount. And another thing is you had to take it with sugar. Okay. Everybody used to mix it with grape juice. And then, was EAS, Experimental and Applied Sciences. It was a company that was owned by the people who owned Muscle Media magazine, Muscle Media 2000 magazine. Those guys and Muscle Tech, they came up with their own creatine, which had sugar basically mixed in with it. Okay. So here I was 4 times a day taking creatine, mixing it with my grape juice, trying to get the insulin spike, trying to force it into my muscle cells. And I never really noticed much of a difference. Okay. I never really noticed anything. So I kind of stopped taking it. Okay. Then years later, when I was doing, of all things, the anaerobics workouts, okay, when I originally did the anaerobics workouts, it was getting in preparation for an NHB event, okay? For those of you, comment below if you know what NHB is, okay? It's what was around before MMA was around. So anyway, here I am, back in the day, getting ready for NHB events, and I was doing some like really hard training. This is actually where the anaerobics workouts were based. This is like where the very first anaerobics diet came out. Okay, we're on like anaerobics diet 3.0 now, but it was the very first one. It was a very crude diet. But one of the things that I went ahead and I did was I added in creatine to my diet. Okay, it was kind of interesting because what I was doing then was not bodybuilding. I was doing like some dips or whatever. I was doing some pull-ups and stuff. But what I was really doing was a lot of like explosive workouts. I would do plyometric intervals. I would do conditioning intervals where I worked really hard for a short amount of time, took a short break just to teach my body to recover, and then really worked hard again. Like one of my workouts was a couple laps around the track to warm up. Okay. Then I do 2 400-meter sprints, 6 200-meter sprints, and 12 100-meter sprints. That was like one of my workouts. Okay, so it's all anaerobic. Sprint 100 meters, walk back, and right when I get back, sprint 100 meters again to train my body to go 100% and recover in a short amount of time to go 100% again. And what I noticed was after a very short amount of time, I was much better at the sprints. I was much better at my plyometrics where I do like these explosive movements. It just popped. I was just like, in the beginning, you feel like shit because you're not in shape and you're doing this and it kind of sucks. You can barely jog 100 meters and here you are doing repeat sprints and it just blows. Okay. But then after a while, like after a short while, I was just exploding into the sprints. I was exploding into the plyometrics. I was exploding into these conditioning routines. And I know the difference between getting in shape and what happened there. Okay, I know the difference because I would do that. I'd get like, hey, there's going to be a fight. Okay, great. Let me get in shape for the fight. So I start doing these things. I'd feel like rubbish in the beginning. I'd get in better shape. I'd feel better. This was not that. This was like in a short amount of time, I just felt so much more explosive, so much more anaerobic. Okay, and it was because I just started taking creatine. So what happens is when you take creatine, it's not really so much, in my experience, that it will puff up your muscles. Or it's not so much that you'll get stronger on your lifts. It's not so much something that you really use for bodybuilding, powerlifting, anything like that. What I get the most benefit from creatine is when I'm doing some sort of anaerobic burst. Like I said, whether it's sprinting, or it's plyometrics, or it's some kind of martial arts type conditioning routine, that's when I really get the best benefits. Okay. Yes, like I said, you can certainly do without, without the creatine, and you'll still get results. But like I said, I mean, this was when I took creatine this one time, and I got results that literally were so good, they forced me to sit down and actually think, like, what am I doing now that I haven't done the last couple of times that I did a similar program? And the program was the same. I was in the same shape when I started. I had the same progression to increase my training, and I had the same diet basically, but I added in creatine, and that was it. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's talk about how to take creatine. Okay, first of all, you do not need to load, creatine. You need to get a certain level in your body. It's not like if you take a cup of coffee, within a few minutes you're going to wake up because the caffeine is going to hit you right away. This is something where you need to take creatine every day for a few days, and you build up a certain level in your body, and then when you have that certain level in your body, you'll notice the effects, okay? So taking a whole bunch in the beginning of loading phase, it's not necessary, okay? The dosage, it's like 5 grams a day, okay? No matter how big or how small you are, just take 5 grams, okay? It's like taking vitamins. It's not like if you weigh 250, you take so much vitamin C, and if you weigh 260, you take more. Just take, 5 grams of creatine, okay, a day. That's going to be enough for just about anybody, okay? Creatine monohydrate is what I use. None of these special effervescent, whatever the hell creatine monohydrate is fine. Okay, just get whatever. Get a quality, get a pure quality. But if you get just some raw powder, cheap, it's fine. Okay. Do you take it with... it doesn't matter when you take it, because like I said, you need to build up a level in your body. It's not like you take it and you immediately get a result. Having said that, okay, if you are going to be doing like my anaerobics diet 3.0, where you do take dextrose after your workout, and it does help you force nutrients into your muscles, it does make sense to take the creatine then. Okay, it certainly does make sense to take the creatine then with the dextrose powder that I also take afterwards. So that's when I suggest you take it. Okay. If you are interested in getting these kind of results, because I've got a lot of questions lately. How do I get Brad Pitt's body from Fight Club? How do I get, the Ninja Assassin body? How do I get, the body like American Psycho, okay, where you're not huge, but you're lean and everything you have is just like pure muscle. If you're interested in that, or if you're interested in being like a boxer, an MMA guy, a fighter, a sprinter, somebody who has like this really intense anaerobic power and then, recovers really quickly, like a flurry of punches recovers quickly, a flurry of punches recover quickly, I really suggest you check out my Anaerobics Diet 3.0 and my Anaerobics Workout. They will both support that kind of body in terms of appearance and that kind of body in terms of the anaerobic power, okay, to attack with a flurry, recover, and attack with a flurry. So by the third time you attack your opponent, he's still recovering from the first flurry, and you're fresh, just as fresh as you were the first time you threw a flurry of punches. That's the diet that supports the training, that supports that kind of ability. If you're interested, check them both out, the Anaerobics Diet 3.0 and the Anaerobics Workout. Watching this on YouTube, both links are below the video. Both links are also in my profile on Instagram. Check them out, and if you want to buy both of them, just go ahead and buy one, and then you'll have the opportunity to buy the other at a discounted price, okay? check out the anaerobics diet and the anaerobics workout.